if customer or consumer is going to face any kind of the problem, if there is any disputes with the consumer, any of the person, okay, only he must buy the good only for the purpose of consumption, not for the purpose of resale of a product. We call him as a consumer. Any kind of a problem with a product, okay, so he is going to complain a responsible authority. We call it as a consumer forum. So what quantity of the product that is available, okay, so according to law they have to mention if they cheat in those terms, okay, so they have a complete right to go against them. That we call it as a deficiency. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I am Mr. Hemant Kumar from the Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, MYSURU, the Temple of Excellence. In today's session, we are going with the subject Business Law. It's about Unit 4, that is Session 1, okay, for 6th semester BBA students. In today's session, we are going with the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Here, we are going to learn various kinds of consumer redressal agencies and also with the consumer rights. This is agenda of today's session. We are going with Consumer Protection Act 1986. In the previous session, we had gone through the Competition Act 2002. This is Consumer Protection Act 1986. It is part 2. Introduction to Consumer Protection Act 1986. Definition of the certain terms under Consumer Protection Act. We are going with 6 definitions which is been given by Consumer Protection Act. Number 1, consumer. So, according to Act, who is a consumer? Consumer dispute. What is consumer dispute? Defect, deficiency, unfair trade practice and services. So these are all the definitions that we need to go in today's session. Here we are only going with introduction with definitions which is been given under a Consumer Protection Act 1986. Introduction. The Consumer Protection Act 1986 has been established to provide for establishment of consumer councils and other authorities for the settlement of the consumer disputes and for the matters of connected therewith. Okay, so what happens? So this is an act which is been established to safeguard the rights of the customer. If customer or consumer is going to face any kind of the problem, if there is any disputes with the consumer, okay, so if there is any problem in the market, okay, so which is being faced by the consumer, it is going to safeguard the consumer. Means a consumer have a right to go with the forum and sort out his problem. Okay, if any of the people, any of the entrepreneurs, if any of the sellers, if they are going to cheat the consumer by malpractice, by adulteration, by any kind of illegal activities, okay, so the consumer have a complete right to complaint in a consumer forum. The Consumer Protection Act 1986, it is extended to whole India, excluding the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So what happened? This act is not applicable for Jammu and Kashmir, and this act is only dealing with goods and services, not with any other things. Okay, so the one who want to complain against this act should be cheated either with goods or services. Means cheated by the entrepreneur in the case of goods or services. Okay, so if they are not satisfied with their goods or services, if they get cheated by the entrepreneur in matter of goods and services, they have a complete right. So this act came to existence on 15/4/1987. Okay, so what happened? So the name of the act may be 1986. Okay, so actually this act came to force on 15th April 1987. So this is a introduction regarding the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Here definitions under the act. So there are, as I said, there are a few definitions that is being defined by the act. So what exactly the definition that is being given by the act? Who is a consumer? So as we know, consumer is the end user of the commodity. We call him as a consumer because he is the one who is going to consume the product or the commodity. According to Section 2, Subsection 1, Subsection D of a Consumer Protection Act 1986, a consumer is defined as any person who buys any good for consumption. Okay, so any of the person, okay, only he must buy the good only for the purpose of consumption, not for the purpose of resale of a product. We call him as a consumer. Payment or promise of payment. Okay, so if he is going to purchase a product from the dealer, okay, he had made a payment or he had not made a payment, saying that I'm going to make a payment in future, okay, so that also been considered under a Consumer Protection Act. I will just give you an example. So what happens if I want to purchase any product, okay, just I'm going to purchase a car, okay, so from the seller I'm going to purchase a car. So what happened? So he had misguided me, saying that regarding the condition of the car, regarding the performance of the car. Okay, so if there is any documentary evidence saying that he had misguided me, I have a complete right to go for a consumer forum. Okay, so what happens? So I am a end user of the commodity. Okay, so but the amount that is being paid by me, that is only 30% of the amount. Remaining rest of 70% had not paid by me. But then also I have a complete right against him because I am a consumer. Okay, so here whether it is a completely payment of a payment, halfly payment of the payment, or fully non-payment of the payment is also applicable under the Consumer Protection Act. Means the consumer have a complete right to go against the company. Does not mean that he had not made a payment, means so he does not have any right against the company. He have a complete right against the entity. Hires or avails of any services for the consideration. So it is applicable for not only for the product sector, it is also applicable for the service sectors. Okay, so whatever the service sector that is available in the society, it is applicable for all the service sector and also all the product sector. Payment or promise of payment. So here in the first clause that they are going to say about the product sector, if any product company, means if you are get cheated by the product, so you have a complete right. So in terms of payment also, halfly you are going to pay, fully you are going to pay, or not at all you are going to make a payment, so you have a complete right against them. Okay, so and in the same way service sector also, so payment in terms of fully payment, halfly payment, or no payment, also you will be having complete right against them. That is according to Consumer Protection Act. Consumer dispute. So what is consumer dispute? According to the Consumer Protection Act 1986, the term consumer dispute is defined as Section 2, subsection 1 and subsection E. Okay, so please keep this all things in your mind, and when they ask for the definitions, you are supposed to write as per the act. Okay, so as per the particular author who had given the definition, you are not supposed to write the meaning in the name of definition. Okay, so here according to the Consumer Protection Act 1986, that is Section 2, subsection 1, subsection E of Consumer Protection Act. Okay, so consumer dispute means a dispute where a person against whom a complaint has been made. Okay, so what happened? Means it is a kind of a complaint which is being given by the opponent party, okay, against the seller, saying that he had cheated me. Denies or dispute the allegations contained in the complaint. Okay, so if they are going to deny or allegations that is contained in the complaint, that is should be considered according to the Consumer Protection Act. Thus it is clear that if a person against whom the complaint is made, okay, so agrees to complaint, there is on consumer dispute. Okay, so what happens? So if any individual consumer, okay, face any kind of a problem with a product, okay, so he's going to complain a responsible authority. We call it as a consumer forum. Okay, so this we call it as a consumer dispute. If there is any problem with the product only, he have a right to go to a consumer forum and complain against the entity. Okay, so this process that we call it as a consumer dispute. There is a dispute with the consumer, hence he is going to complain a consumer forum. Defect. So under the Consumer Protection Act 1986, the term defect is defined as Section 2, subsection 1 and subsection F of Act. Okay, defect means any fault, imperfection, shortcoming in the quality, quantity, or potency, purity and standard of a product. Okay, so here what happens? So if we are going to purchase a product, okay, it is our right, okay, to know about the quality of the product, quantity of the product, and also the ingredients that is been included in the product. Okay, we have a complete right to question the manufacturer. We have a complete right to question the seller. Okay, because this agency is being established to safeguard the rights of the customer. Being a consumer, we have a complete right to decide what we want. Okay, so what we have to consume. Okay, so in terms of the quality and the quantity, there is a mistake. Okay, so that we call it as a defect. Okay, so if in terms of a purity of the product get adulterated, okay, so that we call it as a defect of the product, which require to be maintained by or under any law for the time of being in force. Okay, so it should be maintained for the time being, or under any contract, whether it is an express contract and implied contract. Okay, so express contract, expressing the contract, implied contract, contract which is going to happen by the gestures, or as claimed by the trader in any other manner, whatever in the relation to any goods. Okay, so what happens? So there are certain restrictions that is been formulated by the act. Okay, so they have a complete right to claim against the people one who had given or cheated them. Okay, in terms of adulteration. Okay, according to me, this is a big definition. Okay, which you have to keep in your mind. Okay, the words or the sentences should not be changed. Okay, because it is a definition which is been given by the act. Okay, so for definition it is completely different, meaning it is completely different. They are going to ask you define defect. Okay, so define consumer. Okay, so please go with the familiar thing. Deficiency. So under the Consumer Protection Act 1986, the term deficiency is defined as section 2 subsection 1 subsection G as deficiency means any fault, imperfection, shortcoming or inadequacy in quantity, nature, manner of performance whereas required to be mentioned by or under any law has been agreed to be mentioned by the seller or supplier in the course of business. So what happens? So when it come in terms of the quality, when it come in terms of the quantity, okay, it is a law which has been made for the product or any kind of a product sector. Okay, they are supposed to specify the ingredients that is included in the product. They are supposed to specify the quality of the product. They are supposed to give the grading for the product. They are supposed to give a quantitative terms they are supposed to mention. Okay, so what quantity of the product that is available. Okay, so according to law they have to mention. If they cheat in those terms, okay, so they have a complete right to go against them. That we call it as a deficiency. It is a deficiency is like a default thing which is going to happen in a product from the longer period of time. Unfair trade practice. Okay, so unfair trade practice. Okay, so it is a illegal activity that is being done by the people or the entrepreneur. Under the Consumer Protection Act 1986, the term unfair trade practice is defined as section 2 subsection 1 and subsection R as unfair trade practice means trade practice which for the purpose of promoting the sales. Okay, so the purpose, the main intention must be promotion of the sales, use of supply of any goods or services, adopts any unfair method or unfair or deceptive practice, including any of the following practices. Okay, so if there is any practice which is against the law, okay, so to facilitate the customer, okay, so to make a profit in the intention of making profit, okay, if an entrepreneur he undergo any kind of illegal activities, if he undergo any kind of malpractices, okay, so that is going to become an unfair trade practice which is not fair in terms of law. False representation. Okay, so he is going to give false information regarding the product. Okay, so there is no practical existence in a product, but he may give false information regarding the product or features of a product. Misleading advertisement. So if there is any kind of a misleading advertisement, okay, so the entrepreneur or the manufacturer he get penalized. Okay, so there may be certain misleading advertisement which is going to misguide the customers. Okay, so they are supposed to avoid misleading advertisements. False or misleading description. Okay, so they are going to describe the uses of the product, how to use the product, and in the same way ingredients that is included in the product. Okay, so they may hide the toxic substance which is being used in the product, manufacturing of product. Okay, so what happens? So if they hide such a kind of thing, okay, everything should be transparent. Okay, so if they hide such kind of thing, it is a offense according to the Consumer Protection Act. Sale of goods without authorization. Okay, so the goods that is been manufactured, they must be sold by the authorized parties. Okay, so if the goods does not sold by the authorized, means unauthorized person, unauthorized people, or manufactured by unauthorized people, so what happens? So those things get penalized. Bait and switch, there is a Persian language. Okay, so that is given by the law. So what happens is, if any of the people, okay, so they are going to cheat the customer, okay, so they get penalized under the court of law. Okay, lastly, the last definition under the act. So according to the Consumer Protection Act 1986, okay, services broad and encompasses a wide range of services that is essential to daily life, from financial and insurance services to housing and entertainment. Okay, so what happens according to the act? Okay, what is service? So as I said in the beginning of the unit, okay, so the product is classified, or the good is classified into two categories. One is tangible good and another one is intangible good. So intangible good means it is a service sector, tangible good is it is a product sector, that we call it as a merchandise good. Moving forward, okay, so in the next session we are going with the rights of the consumer under the Consumer Protection Act. Okay, there are 6 rights of the consumer, okay, that is been formulated by the act. Consumer redressal agencies, okay, there are 3 consumer redressal agencies that is formulated, okay, so to safeguard the rights of the consumer: state forum, district forum, and the national commission. Thank you.